I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, I'm on the Axe FX3 and I want to talk about the new Kill Dry feature that has been added to select time-based effects blocks and how to use it in your presets. Before we get started, I have a fairly straightforward preset here using the Brit 800 2203 high amp model with my free cab IR. This one's linked in the video description if you would like to try it for yourself. A little bit of gold plate reverb on this scene. Then I've got two separate delay blocks here. One is doing a rhythmic style delay around 300 milliseconds with the vintage digital delay, and I have another delay set up as a dual delay for some leads. I'm going to go through three scenes here and you'll see and hear the delay blocks get activated. Let's start off with a nice crunch on the bridge pickup of this PRS DGT. Then we'll hear the rhythmic delay scene. Then we'll hear the lead scene. Very good fun indeed. You may have noticed something when I changed from the rhythmic delay scene to the lead scene with the overall echo effect in there. I have the bypass mode on both delay blocks set to mute effects in, meaning you will still get delay trails when you bypass the block. If I turn the feedback up on this a little bit, this will give you a good demonstration. I'll just play a single chord in here and I'll immediately bypass the block, but you'll still hear the echoes fading out. Now, if I want those echoes to continue fading out, I want those delay trails on, but I want to leave some silence and then change scenes to my second scene, have a listen to what happens here. Because this delay block is still fading out, those echoes are going to feed into this second delay block and get picked up and kind of spat around the stereo spectrum. And I don't have these times synced up at all, so it is a little bit random and a little bit messy. This is a great reason to route blocks in parallel. We're getting to the motivation with Kill Dry, I promise. But if I wanted to have my discrete echoes from the vintage digital here continue to fade out and not have them chewed up by this second delay block over here, to get around this, I could route these blocks in parallel. So you can see I've just placed them above and below the main chain over here. My dual delay is underneath, my vintage digital is on top. Now, if I wanted to gain stage everything properly here, before this firmware, I would need to do a few things. I would need to set the bypass mode to something other than through, which I've already got on both blocks. But then I would also need to set the mix to 100%. This would mean there is no dry signal flowing through either of these blocks. If I have dry signal going through them, then I've got my dry signal here. I'm going to get a delayed signal and some extra dry signal. So I would get a volume boost, which I don't necessarily want on there. However, instead of having to do all of that, like turn the mix to 100%, we can just now hit the Kill Dry button on both of these blocks. So I can do that. I don't have to change the mix. I don't have to play around with the overall level or input gain. Just come over to both, hit Kill Dry, and then if I change from my rhythmic delay scene and I go to my lead scene, I'm going to get trails over here, but they're not getting spun around by this secondary delay block. Check it out. If I had originally had my two delay blocks in the opposite order, this solution is also getting around my lead delays, getting summed to mono and run through a rhythmic delay as well. So the previous procedure here, just to reiterate, was we'd have to route the blocks in parallel. we'd have to set the mix to 100%. So we'd lose the mix value that we had dialed in. Then we'd have to use either the level or the input gain to adjust the amount of effect we want to hear. This is so much easier to understand, and it means that you can simply take a block that you're running in series and turn it into a block that you're running in parallel immediately, just by hitting kill dry over there. Now, another reason this comes in handy would be, again, just to get around all that futzing around with parameters. So let's say, for example, I didn't want to have this delay block in here, but I wanted to run a reverb 100% wet into, say, a tremolo or something like that. This is a really cool effect. Or I wanted to add, 100% wet delay before a reverb. Well, I'm just going to run my reverb up here. Let's maybe change it to a different reverb. We will go with the Stratocumulus over here, and I'm going to run that into a tremolo block over here. So there's my tremolo. I'm just going to bring up this setting that I've already got pre-saved in my blocks library. So it's just set to a 1/16th tremolo rate over there. Now, if I turn the mix up to 100% on here, I could then use the level and basically gain stage this correctly. Let's say I wanted to bring the level down to like -10 or something. This is a pretty cool effect. But to me, it is so much more intuitive to just hit kill dry on the reverb and then to bring the mix up to the point that I want it, rather than bring the input gain or the level down to the point I want. Normally when I'm using real effects pedals or I'm using a plugin, I'm bringing the mix up to the point. So I'm bringing it in from dry. Now, you could argue, well, just set input gain or level all the way to 0. It's just one more step in there, and kill dry makes this way easier. And again, just to reinforce that this can be a great time saver, the more blocks you want to run in parallel, the easier kill dry makes it. At the moment, I've got the same amp and cab, but I'm running it into some dual detune, the dual delay from before, and the gold plate reverb. Let's just hear it. Let's say I wanted to route that in parallel because that's just what I want to do. Check this out. I'm just going to bring these blocks up, down, and around, and then I can recable them. So again, I'm not going to have to go in and set the mix amounts, change the level or the input gain on there. The hardest part about this is just using the editor to draw some cables in here. And then to get the gain staging right, kill dry 1, kill dry 2, and kill dry 3. And then I can play you all out with some glorious, greasy lead guitar. Hopefully I've provided not only some motivation for using the kill dry feature in multiple blocks over here, but I've given you some examples that help you understand it. If you do have any further questions, let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, I will see you all on next week's Tuesday Tone Tip.